back and recognize precisely the precipice upon which we stand. Find ourselves right now, crippling inflation, the horrors of the Biden regime thrust upon us. These people, they are absolutely the kind of class of people that get overthrown in the history books. This is what's going to happen because people are sick of the corruption. We're tired of it. We're sick of the illegitimacy. We are disgusted by what we see in this regime, and it doesn't reflect us. It doesn't reflect us. Ladies and gentlemen, what we want for a nation is a country that is led by the people, a country that is not led by a group of octogenarians, that is a kleptocracy of special interests and corporate interests. We want a group of people who are accountable to us. That is why the founding documents of this country say, "We the people." Now, when you don't get that, then what you're going to start having is rule by the elites, which was precisely the difference in the founding of this country. It's why in the American founding, you created a non-monarchy. It's why George Washington rejected being called His Majesty, right? And the first president ever. But as you can see in the decisions and the corruption of American foreign policy and domestic policy over the last 30 years, there is a group of people who are attempting to strip mine this place for their own benefit and profit. You high and dry. They believe that America and the American century is over. They wish to bring about the collapse of this great country, and they want to do so by enriching themselves and taking and stealing from this country as much value as they can before the collapse, and then they will travel away. Just like parasites do, ladies and gentlemen, they will travel on to the next big thing, and that next big thing, in their mind, is probably communist China. So, here we go. What is inside of the Hunter Biden laptop? Well, I mean, you're able to see in stark relief that what the Hunter Biden laptop reveals is that the Biden crime family was in the business of selling access to American politicians and American funding, and you're able to see that the Biden crime family went to some of the worst regimes in the world and some of the most corrupt people in the world and said, "Hey, give us cash for access." This is clearly illegal. It's a violation of many American laws. You have to start asking yourself the question as to why we're talking about this now. Why are they allowing this news to get out? But now that it has been determined by the overseers and gatekeepers in the corporate press, you, smart viewer, has known that the Hunter Biden laptop was real since the day that it dropped in the New York Post. But ladies and gentlemen, I got to tell you, this is bigger than just some intrepid reporting suddenly by the New York Times. Suddenly the New York Times wanting to get in on what's actually happening with the Hunter Biden laptop. No. It's bigger. And you can see precisely what's about to happen if you listen to what Bill Barr says there at Fox News interview. What Bill Barr says is that he was very disturbed during the debates when Biden lied to the American people again and again and again about the laptop. Barr notes that Biden called it Russian disinformation, and he said that that was baseless. Now, why did he get the ability to call it that? Because of the wrap-up smear that was run by the Democrat Party. Nancy Pelosi, on record, bragging about the wrap-up smear. What is the wrap-up smear? The wrap-up smear is simply this. You take a lie about your political opponents, you merchandise it by shopping it through to the corporate press, and then when asked about it, you say, well, look, this must be true. It's been reported by ABC News, Yahoo, or by 51 intelligence experts. What they did was they presented a smear, a custom, perfect description of exactly how they slander their own opponents. They did it to Donald Trump, and they did it to you. They wanted people to not see what was on the Hunter Biden laptop because it dropped in October, the October surprise, and they did not want it to affect the election. They thought they had Donald Trump in a pretty good spot, and if people knew the corruption of the Biden family and what they were voting for, well, then maybe they just wouldn't vote at all. You know, it wasn't about getting or stealing away votes from Trump. They knew they couldn't do that. Donald Trump actually increased his margin of victory from 2016. Donald Trump got more votes in his follow-up election when he was rerunning. They weren't able to chip away at that. They needed to get people to vote against Trump. And what you are seeing is the results of an election where people didn't vote for anything. They voted against something. And it would have been a lot harder to convince people that Joe Biden was the kindly old Werther's Originals, denture, hair plugs grandpa if they had known that he was taking massive bags from foreign corrupt countries vis-a-vis his son. His son's computer was filled with all manner of pornographic images and drug abuse and smoking crack. And oh my gosh, did Joe Biden actually pay for some of this? That's another question for another time. But here we have Bill Barr, the number one law enforcement official in the United States under Donald Trump's presidency, saying that the Justice Department under Donald Trump had damning evidence that this laptop was real. That's because we know that the Justice Department under Trump saw that the laptop was in its own clutches. In 2018, the Justice Department, through the FBI, got a copy of the laptop. Kind of odd that we don't have that information when Donald Trump was being impeached for the crimes that he alleged displayed directly on the laptop in open evidence as it pertains to Ukraine. Donald Trump said that the Biden family was corrupt in Ukraine, and indeed, they were corrupt in Ukraine. And now we get to this moment when Bill Barr is saying, hey, this is election interference. Not allowing people to see this information is election interference. And we need to take this extremely, extremely seriously. You may recall that the entire Russiagate attack on Donald Trump was because they thought that he had colluded with the Russians in order to win the 2016 election. Now, obviously, that was untrue. Here we have actual verifiable election interference as posed by the number one law enforcement agent in the country, a man who knows his way around Washington, D.C. and free and fair elections, saying that the banning of this story on social media, corporate media, was akin to rigging an election. Those are the words of Bill Barr. The White House was asked about this. Jen Psaki, of course, who had previously said that the laptop was itself Russian disinformation. Jen Psaki shared that now debunked story where 51 intel officers working on the behest of the Democratic Party got together without any evidence, said that this story is Russian disinformation. Jen Psaki said, when asked about this at the White House, I'd like to point you to the Department of Justice and also to Hunter Biden's representatives. He doesn't work in the government. Now Jen Psaki is just going to say this line again and again and again. He doesn't work in the government. He doesn't work in the government. They're scared about what this is going to bring. Because what this is going to bring has nothing to do with Hunter Biden. It has everything to do with Joe Biden and his dealings with his son. Joe Biden's on the record many, many times saying that he knows nothing about this, that he never did any business with his son. All of it a lie, all of it blowing up in his face. And you have to start asking yourself the question, why are we talking about this now? Are they setting Joe Biden up for the fall? We always knew that Joe Biden was the patsy. He was the person who was supposed to take Bernie Sanders' place because Bernie Sanders was running away with the nomination. The DNC got together on an emergency basis and said, who can we run that can take out Bernie? Because Bernie's going to lose horrifically to Donald Trump. Maybe, maybe not. I mean, listen, it would have been wild to see a Bernie Sanders-Donald Trump debate, and I, for one, hope that that still happens. I would love to see the two of them debate, quite frankly. It'd be weird. It'd be similar styles, and I think the two of them would get on. I'm not joking. Crazy Bernie, right? It would be very neat. The clash of worlds, the clash of titans, and Bernie Sanders' opinions and radicalization would have lost the Democrats their party for a very, very long time. They needed someone who could play a moderate, and that was Joe Biden. So they all sabotaged Bernie, and then they realized that they had chosen the most corrupt man in American politics. Perhaps they knew this ahead of time. There's a lot of indications that the Obama administration already knew this about Joe Biden, but nonetheless, the White House has to now try and protect Joe Biden from the embroiling and impending indictment of Hunter Biden, as many lawyers and researchers, investigators, and experts on the Biden crime family are saying. Peter Schweitzer, the lawyers that are involved in Hunter Biden's legal dealings, they're saying Hunter Biden's going to get indicted. And so what does that mean? That means that this is going to be splashed on every newspaper page, and that they're going to have discovery, and that they're going to go after the Biden family. Is this a way to get Joe Biden out of office? I don't know. It gets you thinking, doesn't it? Here's how Bill Barr responded to the silence at the White House on the issue of Hunter Biden's laptop.
Obviously, there was the media coverage of this, which obviously is being highlighted, was all over the place and atrocious. And now there's the New York Post, for example. The headline right now is "The White House Ignores Its Hunter Problem." Suddenly, Jen Psaki can't comment on something that she commented on many times before. So does the White House have a problem here?
Well, I think now that, from a political standpoint, now that this is in people's consciousness, it had been suppressed up till now, obviously they have a hot potato, and just to see how they handle it will be interesting.
Bill Barr is talking about election interference as it pertains to the laptop. So when you say that the election was not on the up and up, when you tell your friends at the bar that you believe that Joe Biden had a entire rigging of this election done through the corporate press and through social media and through the inability to talk about certain subjects that were damaging to Joe Biden, you can point to Bill Barr, and Bill Barr says that this was election interference. Okay, that's his quote. What does Bill Barr have to back that up? Where's the data, they may ask, that this would have rigged the election or that this would have changed anything? A lot of people always ask for that. Well, here it is. Ladies and gentlemen, there was a poll done directly after the election that asked whether people would have voted differently if they had known the Hunter Biden laptop story was not only true, but had just heard about it. You only have so much time in the day. You can't be omnipresent. And so it's very important for people to report on these prescient stories, and by calling it Russian disinformation, what they were doing was they were saying, don't touch this, don't report on it. That's why they banned the link from Twitter, to stop people from seeing it, to stop the normies from seeing it. Normal people who would be affected by things like this. Well, what did that poll find? It found that 16% of people that voted for Biden would have voted differently. That's right. According to the Post Millennial, after the New York Post reporting on Hunter Biden's laptop was suppressed, a poll found that 16% of Biden voters were unaware of the laptop scandal, and they would not have voted for Biden if they had known about it. Well, that's because you're saying, hey, Donald Trump's extremely corrupt, and he's dangerous, and he's in bed with dictators. And then you're sitting there looking at Joe Biden and all of the evidence on the laptop that shows the exact same. So the people would probably, I don't know if they would have voted for Trump, but this poll, here's the hard data saying that they would not have voted for Joe Biden. Well, what would that have done? At this point, at the point that the poll was taken, 79% of the respondents said that they were still comfortable voting for Biden, 4% switching their votes to Donald Trump, and another 4% casting for a third candidate, and 4% saying they would have skipped voting altogether. Another 5% would have stopped voting entirely, and the remaining 5% refused to answer the question. This is enough to swing the election for Donald Trump. So if everything, again, ladies and gentlemen, the question of the 2020 election is a very thorny one. Clearly, there's a lot of misinformation and disinformation out there. We want to stick to the hard facts and the hard data. And the hard data is this. This is the poll. This is what it showed. It showed that if Hunter Biden's laptop, that single story, had not have been censored, then it would have been enough to put Donald Trump over the threshold and win him the election. Joe Biden could not lose a single vote in this election. It was very, very close, and many states were extremely close. And now here we are. Bill Barr saying this was election interference. So there's your evidence. There's your data. We don't want to tell you what to think. We want to show you what's actually happening. And this is what's happening. Bill Barr stating definitively that the corporate press and corporate media and corporate social media colluded in order to influence an election in the direction of their preferred candidate, along with various members of federal law enforcement and high-ranking intelligence officials. These spies who we trained to lie for clandestine purposes to the rest of the world are now lying to you. The tools of espionage that we are supposed to use on our enemies are now being used on you. And we thought you should know that. We also thought that you should know that while Donald Trump is not sitting in the White House today, that's not a win. Donald Trump would have been sitting in a courthouse with Stormy Daniels, the porn actress who accused Donald Trump of various defamatory and illegal activities. Well, Donald Trump can grin a little bit this morning, knowing that this, at the very least, is a W for him. Stormy Daniels will have to pay Donald Trump $300,000 in legal fees after the final court that could have saved Stormy Daniels rejected her appeal in a defamation case. That's right. Reading to you from the Daily Mail. Stormy Daniels was ordered by a federal court to pay Donald Trump $300,000 in attorney fees, and her court ruling against her in the case against the former president. In a statement on Monday, Trump celebrated the news and said, "All I have to do is wait for the money that she owes me." Come on, man. Do you miss him? I miss him. $2 gas, cheap groceries, and mean tweets. Here you go. These are the mean tweets. The lawsuit was purely a political stunt that should have never started or been allowed to happen, and I'm pleased that the lawyers were able to bring it to a successful conclusion, Trump said on CNBC. The ruling by the U.S. Court of Appeals in the Ninth Circuit followed an earlier ruling by the lower court that rejected Daniels' defamation suit against Trump. The lengthy legal battle set to a chain reaction of appeals, and the attorneys for both parties being convicted of felonies. Yikes! Michael Avenatti, you may remember that rodent. That man was found guilty of stealing hundreds of thousands of dollars from Stormy Daniels, who was due the money for writing a book. Avenatti will be doing jail time. Avenatti shot to fame by advising Daniels in 2018 after she claimed then-President Trump had an affair with Daniels and paid her to secure his 2016 election victory, so on and so forth. Avenatti was convicted of wire fraud for his troubles and aggravated identity theft following a trial in Manhattan. Avenatti still has a couple more trials. That dude may be seeing prison for a long time. A buddy of mine was troubled the other day about the loss of some business and getting screwed over. And my advice to him was, I've lived long enough, 35, been rumbling and tussling in the media business for a very long time. Met a lot of corrupt dudes, met a lot of bad dudes. My advice is this. Let people get theirs in the end. Evil doesn't prosper. It's a quote that is attributed to Tolkien. I'll see if we can pull it up, but the quote is that evil can't create anything. They can just destroy. And they'll end up destroying themselves after it's all said and done. They'll destroy themselves. You're seeing evil on the march everywhere in society, whether it be Disney or the what's happening in Florida with parental rights, this anti-groomer bill, unbelievable. All these woke corporations, ladies and gentlemen, evil cannot create anything. They can just destroy. And that's why we must preserve this country against evil. So when you are having a rough go, just remember that you should just sit back, take a deep breath, and let God work, all right? Be good, be forgiving, don't seek vengeance. Vengeance is the Lord's, and woof. The people who went after Trump, man, they are collapsing. It's not just Avenatti, but his favorite fluffers in the media. CNN, of course, imploding. There's going to be mass layoffs at CNN, we hear. There's mass layoffs happening at BuzzFeed being reported this morning. You just got to sit back sometimes and watch it all burn. And then smile and light your cigar off the ashes of the evil people's bad decisions. Sip your bourbon, be happy. The GOP launches voter registration initiative at gas stations. Smart. Pain at the pump. At the pump. Fox Business reporting that GOP is doing a bang-up job registering voters to vote at gas station amid soaring high prices. We have some footage. Check it out.
Well, Democrats now shifting the blame to oil executives for the pain at the pump that we are all feeling. Republicans hope it will lead to a red wave this November and have begun campaigning. Actually, they've started registering voters at gas stations. Leading the effort, RNC Chairwoman Ronna McDaniel. Ronna, good morning to you.
Good morning. Great to be with you.
I said campaigning at gas stations. You're not campaigning because you're just registering people. Because when people see the gas price and it's like, I didn't know that meter could go up that high, that's when they're angry. And that's when you say, hey, would you like to register to vote?
Exactly. And it's the Biden gas hike. So the Democrats are trying to shift blame. This is actually the one promise Joe Biden kept. He wanted to kill American energy. He's done it. And we're paying at the pump for it. He won't even open it up knowing that Americans are struggling. So it is the Biden gas hike. And we're taking advantage and registering voters across the country at gas stations of all places.
So the RNC told Fox News that their voter initiative began on Saturday and involved registering voters at Scottsdale, Arizona gas stations where prices have soared to nearly $5. Arizonans are frustrated with paying record high gas prices, and this issue affects every single person in Arizona. RNC is exactly correct, and it's not just the gas prices. It's the price of literally every single thing that you use and every item that you consume. It's all petrol items. Virtually everything in the world is an item that is made out of petrol or, ladies and gentlemen, delivered to you by a internal combustion engine. Earlier this month, the national average for gas at a gas station reached $4.31. According to the AAA data, that surpassed the $4 mark on Sunday for the first time in 14 years. Highest gas price in American history. It's why you're seeing all these I did that Joe Biden stickers on every single pump. Have you seen them? I love them. I got a buddy who's making yard signs with Joe Biden saying I did that to plant them right next to the gas station signs in the grass. Republican activist Scott Presler, a friend of the show, we love Scott, also led similar efforts in New York. Scott Presler, there on your screen, registering people to vote. Pain at the pump, vote Republican. That's right. Remember $2 gas, ladies and gentlemen. $2 gas. Voter initiatives at gas station come as anti-Joe Biden stickers popping up around the country. Man, there's an awesome video, we'll play it for you tomorrow, of a gas station attendant saying that he peels off 6 or 7 I did that Joe Biden stickers from his pumps in Mobile, Alabama every single day. Every day. People are sick of it. People are fed up. You know, we're smart. That's the problem. I think it's the thing that they're missing. They want the Great Reset, and what they're going to get is the Great Awakening. People are becoming awake, not woke. Nobody wants to be woke. Being woke, man, that is a bankrupt ideology. Nobody is in favor of it. It's not even real. Nobody's actually woke. It's just a mechanism for power. That's all it is. There is a group of people who want power over you. They want power over your life. And they're going to use whatever fads or trends or emergencies that they can in order to get it. And people are getting sick of it. I have been alive and on this earth for 35 years, and I am sick of perpetual emergencies. My entire life has been an emergency, and I am getting damned sick of it. The Y2K emergency, the fuel shortages emergency, the housing crisis emergency, the global financial collapse emergency, the emergency of Donald Trump running for president, the Russian collusion emergency, Russiagate emergency, fake, COVID emergency, the new gas emergency and inflation emergency and Ukraine emergency and Afghanistan emergency. It's all a tool. They want to keep you hypnotized and they want to break you. They don't want peace. My wife and I talk about this all the time. They want war. They want cultural war. And they want to control all the institutions of culture so that they win that war and then they can control you. One man that they will never control is Tucker Carlson. And thank God Tucker Carlson brought us into Kid Rock's Palace of Rock in Nashville, Tennessee, yesterday on his show. We loved it. We had to play you clips. First off, Kid Rock's message to Dr. Fauci, a thing of beauty. Go.
What's your view of Fauci?
Fauci.
Yeah. You speak for many when you say that. Did you believe him at the beginning, Fauci?
I believed all the bull at the beginning.
Yeah.
I mean, we were kind of shooting this documentary, and I'm like so embarrassed. I'm like in here, like everyone's spraying off UPS packages and like spraying on the doorknobs. And like a couple months of that, I'm like, what? It's like, so this pretty much like is knocking out overweight, unhealthy people. I'm like, I'm good. And so are most of my friends. After people start getting it, and you're like, you know, some people had a little worse than others, but it was nothing, you know. And I don't want to, you know, throw any shine on people that had a bad time or passed away with it. It's horrible.
Kid Rock saying F Fauci, there's a lot more of us than there are of you, and that's true, by the way. Nobody wants to be woke. Everybody wants to live in a country where they are in charge of their kids, where their border is secure, where their police are funded. Nobody wants to be woke. And the Democrats, of course, are in panic now because they know that Kid Rock is right. And they know that Tucker Carlson is right. And they see the viewership of these guys. They see the album sales. And they recognize that we can cancel back. This is the prevailing opinion of all common sense people. There's always going to be 20% of people whose brains are broken or they have, you know, personal damage or real emptiness. And they want the government to come in and control every aspect of their life. That's not the majority. The majority are people like Kid Rock who say F Dr. Fauci. And good on him. Kid Rock, of course, driving a Rolls Royce. I mean, he's rich. He's been in the entertainment industry and top of the charts for 30 years. He should totally drive a Rolls Royce. We love that. But Kid Rock, being the consummate capitalist, is driving a very special edition of a Rolls Royce, a Let's Go Brandon Rolls Royce. A Let's Go Brandon Rolls Royce. We thought it was choice. Mwah! Take it away.
We had dinner last night and you rolled up in a Rolls Royce, the Let's Go Brandon edition.
Yes.
So for
with a Waffle House plate.
With a Waffle House plate. So for our viewers who might want the Rolls Royce Let's Go Brandon edition, like where can you get one?
You go on this thing called Google and you type in, you know, car badges, Let's Go Brandon, and there's companies that come up. On my truck, I got one that says White Boy Edition. And there's all these crazy things, but it looks official. So, you know, I would never drive a foreign car, be driven to, I used to like to say to myself, like, I'm so proud, you know, for how hard I work and, you know, what I charge people for shows is what I think is fair because I can hold my head high because I feel I've never made an unhonest dollar off of working man's back. And so I get Rolls Royce. But I'm like, I'm in Nashville, so I'm not in Detroit. So it's the same, but it came for sale, this thing, and I had this Waffle House license plate holder forever, and I'm like, I need a car to put that thing on. I need to get that Rolls Royce. And then the Let's Go Brandon badge, it came out, and I'm like, oh, there is a heaven. I'm like, this is just too good. This is too much fun, you know what I mean? But
without naming their names, are there, and you would know, are there other people in your business who agree with you privately?
Yeah, and it was funny during the last, you know, election when Trump's thing.
The purity. I love it. The combination of cultural forces. The left can't stand it. They hate it. They're so miserable. Have you ever watched their entertainment? Have you ever seen them interact? Have you ever met a happy leftist? Have you ever seen them smile? They're not a joyous people. They certainly don't want to make the world better. They want to destroy. Evil only destroys. The quote is right here before me. Evil cannot create anything new. It can only corrupt and ruin what good forces have invented or made. That's the quote attributed to J.R.R. Tolkien. And Kid Rock has created a lot. And we are, not the biggest kid. We don't go to his concert. I would love to go to his concerts, actually. But we love seeing these cultural forces combine and create something really, really fun. Tucker Carlson on his show last night was wearing a watch given to him by Kid Rock. Giant gold blingy diamond encrusted watch. The two of them definitely got on. Man, it's gotta piss libs off so much because they think they control the recording industry. They think they control culture. Kid Rock went on a great tirade about how corporations don't own him, and that's why he's free to make whatever music he wants. Man, that's the key, ladies and gentlemen. Be free and live that freedom. Tucker Carlson and him got on swimmingly. Tucker Carlson and him went and partied, actually, at Kid Rock's club. You want to see that footage? TMZ's got it.
Interesting duo, Tucker Carlson and Kid Rock at Kid Rock's bar over the weekend. So he was down there, they're drinking, they went back into a VIP room. There's some Let's Go Brandon chants, obviously.
Tucker Carlson is not dressed the right way for a honky-tonk bar. He's so out of place.
But it's nice, though, because you just get a free open tab, don't you?
Do you think Tucker Carlson is drinking that much?
He's drinking a Shirley Temple and going home by 9.
Oh, just right after that clip, you could see Tucker Carlson's gold watch given to him by Kid Rock. Maybe that's the new goal for my life, is to get a gold watch from Kid Rock. That's what I will be driving for the next many years of my life. They were having a fun time. They were enjoying their lives, and that's the number one thing that libs hate. They don't want you to be happy. They don't want you to enjoy this beautiful place. They don't want you to take advantage of your birthright as a free person in this country. And they especially don't want to be told to go screw off. We won't be allowing your election interference any longer. As Bill Barr said and stated, election interference with the Hunter Biden laptop. We're not going to be allowing your ridiculous lawsuits. Donald Trump wins his lawsuit against Stormy Daniels. And we don't want you and your stupid Great Reset. We want cheap gas, cheap groceries, secure border. We want no new wars. We want people to live in peace. And we want our traditional values, the values that were given to us by our grandparents and our ancestors who built this country, by the way. You pink-haired, screaming libs on college campuses with your lesbian dance major theories, man, y'all didn't build nothing. The people who built this country were truckers and warfighters and cops, plumbers, regular Americans. And that's who we stand up for. Middle-class America who just wants to be left alone with our priorities, which is God, family, country. We were born free men and women. On this show, we know that we're going to die free men and women. We intend to stay that way, ladies and gentlemen. And that's why we thank you for watching. If you want to help out our channel, click like, click subscribe. Smash that share button, ladies and gentlemen. Share the good news and the good word with all of those on social media. God bless all of you. Have a spectacular Tuesday.